Namaste and welcome to Quantum Dialogues, a thought leadership series powered by NGenious Solutions. I am your host, Mudit Vyas, group editor at Quantum Dialogues. Today's lightning round table explores AI powered public sector delivery. How data, cloud, and machine learning are reshaping everything from national identity to urban sanitation. Joining us today are two practitioners who run systems millions depend on every single day. I'm joined by Mr. Manish Bhardwaj, who is an IAS officer of the 1997 batch of the Gujarat cadre and currently serving as Deputy Director General, UIDAI, heading Aadhaar Authentication and Verification. He oversees 90 plus million authentications daily and the new AI-ready Aadhaar Data Vault framework. We are waiting for the second guest to join in. In the meantime, I will ask Mr. Nilesh Mehta, who's the CEO of NGenious Solutions, who powers the Quantum Dialogue sessions. I would want you to introduce yourself, sir, and also take up the initiative how NGenious Solutions as an organization is working with AI and public sector, and what are the new projects and other things that NGenious works with.
Thank you so much, Mudit. Mr. Manish, sir, thank you so much for joining us today. We are very proud to have you on the session with us today. My name is Nilesh Mehta. I'm the founder and CEO at NGenious Solutions, Microsoft and ServiceNow partner that's been doing IT service solutions for enterprises and public sector for the last 20 years within India and outside of India also per se. And over the last 20 years, we've helped implement many solutions at enterprise level, recently starting focusing on AI and helping build that solution also. Along with Manish sir, I'm thankful to say we are also joined by Mr. Unhale sir, who's an IAS officer focusing on Swachh Bharat and smart cities across the country over here. Samir sir, thank you so much for joining us. I see you just joined us. As Mudit mentioned, we are proud to say Manish sir has been joining us over here. He manages a system that supports 90 million Aadhaar authentications on a daily basis. Samir sir focuses on Swachh Bharat and smart city initiatives around the country that have not just, built a better country for us, but touched, people in so many more ways that you can imagine over here. So this session today, why are we doing this now, right? The reason we are focused on this session today is that over the last decade, India has slowly and steadily grown to become a power around the world. However, that is what most people see on the front end side with infrastructure, with logistics, with our economy growing. What is happening behind the scenes in the world of IT and technology within India, especially in the public sector, is not something that's immediately visibly available to people. But we have two people over here who can shed light on what is happening and how much India is progressing towards digital transformation. Over the last decade, we have seen the surge of India in digital payments, and we have seen that it has surpassed even the US and China in terms of digital payments. Similarly, even our government sector, the public sector, is doing so much behind the scenes that we are not aware of, and we will request, Manish and Samit to shed light on stuff, right? So we are joined here to see specifically how UIDAI has taken advantage of technology and shown the world how you can scale for 90 to 100 million authentications on a daily basis, which is more than half of around the world, and still do it in a manner where it respects security and privacy of data also at the same time, right? How our government in India is building AI and API ready solutions that have now made transactions easy for enterprises, for end users, and work with the digital platforms over there. Over the last 3 years, we've also seen the advent of AI, and India and Indian government is slowly taking advantage of AI to rapidly, increase our digital transformation and make services better for our consumers within the country over here, right? So these three major forces have happened in the last 5 to 10 years that are slowly shifting how India as a country serves its public basically over there. However, with any implementation you want to do, there are always going to be challenges, right? Nothing is easy to work with. And a couple of things that always keep concerning that we'll want to ask Manish sir and Samir sir is, while they build a solution and think about the scale they're trying to work with over here, how do they talk and think about data privacy? How do they think about data legitimacy in there, right? How within different ministries, they solve problem of data ownership, how do we guard against misuse and abuse of data? Because that is, a key aspect right now. All of us say data is oil, and which means, if there's a data leakage, there's a problem over there somewhere. So that becomes one aspect that we want to talk about. Second thing is, in today's world, where there are still organizations that think about project delivery as a success of the project rather than the outcome of the project, right? It's like, okay, we went live with the solution, my job is done. But that's not the end of it. When we think about public service, it's the outcome that happens over a period of time that justifies whether the project was successful or failure, right? We think about, online, train, seat booking systems, and, the online Aadhaar update systems, right? These are really touching people's lives, where we are, over the last 10 years, we've seen people are used to booking food from their Swiggy apps, ordering from Amazon apps. They don't even move out of their couch for 15 seconds, and they order everything. The same aspect applies to public services. I can go and update my Aadhaar online in 15 seconds. I can go and book my train ticket in 15 seconds. I can, submit a ticket to my local government or municipality in 15 seconds. These are a lot of different changes happening in the country. In the next 50 minutes, we are hoping that Manish sir and Samir sir will be able to help us shed some light in terms of, how they have thought about these processes and how they have implemented this for the country. So, Manish sir and Samir sir, thank you once again for joining us. Mudit, I will give this back to you to moderate, and then come up with specific questions that you want to ask Manish sir from that perspective.
Thank you so much, Nilesh, for setting the context. To move on to the conversation and ask our panelists the questions, I would want to start with the first segment, which is more to Mr. Manish Bhardwaj sir. This is based on UIDAI focus, and my question would be around high volume of data and AI detection. So, since you are working with 91 million plus authentications on a daily basis, what is your challenge on a daily basis as somebody who's, let's say, a chief information security officer of an organization like this? How are you injecting AI ML into this? What are the authentication pipelines that you work with, to spot anomalies and fraud detection in real time? So, if you would bring more light to that.
Okay, thank you, Nilesh. Thank you, Mudit. As you are all aware, like you see, UIDI basically runs the world's biggest national identity program. Nowhere in the world there is a parallel to which the scale of operation since 2010 up till now. So UIDI basically has given Aadhaar to each and every eligible resident in the country. So up till now, more than 142 crores Aadhars have been generated. And if we adjust it for people who are living, so close to 132 crore Aadhars are presently live in the country. So in a nutshell, practically whole of the adult population in India is covered by Aadhaar. Now, having given the Aadhaar, the purpose of the Aadhaar was to basically not only have to have an identity, but it is a digital identity, and it is absolutely verifiable. Now, uh, this attribute of Aadhaar, which has unleashed so much of what we see, the various digital public goods which are which have been set up post Aadhaar. So UIDI's Aadhaar is the foundational DPI in this country, and it has spawned the growth of other DPIs. So there have been, and the other part is based on this identity layer, the payment layer has been set up. So naturally, you mentioned about the UPI transactions. Today in India, we have 90 million authentication transactions happening on a daily basis for identity authentication, and close to 550 or 600 million transactions happening on UPI transactions which are happening. The jam trinity basically, that is the because the mobile even Aadhaar led to the growth of the even the proliferation of the bank accounts. So we had this no frills bank account by under the name of Jan Dhan Yojana. So the accounts were even opened. So the concept of rural, that is branchless banking or last mile banking came into play. Today, with the network of the business correspondents of various banks, we are doing this Aadhaar enabled payment system, as you are aware, and close to around 8 million transactions per day are happening. That is, people are able to withdraw money from their bank account using Aadhaar. So Aadhaar, and as we today appreciate, Aadhaar is now fully enmeshed in our lives. So either we open a bank account, or even we get a passport, or we using Digiyatra, we want to enter the airport in a very seamless manner, or we want to even book the eSIM activated on our mobile using face authentication. So touchless delivery, touchless mechanisms of authentications have been developed, and the delivery services have been very efficient and smooth. Aadhaar is 24/7. It means that anytime, anywhere authentication. This is the motto also. We say that we generate unique ID, and then we proudly do anytime, anywhere authentication. So it means that the businesses basically now, as you are aware, the lead times regarding say background verification, which used to take days, have been reduced to hours, have been reduced to minutes. So basically now with less than a minute you can open a bank account. In less than a minute you can get a SIM card. In less than a minute you can basically avail of various services. Many ministries of the central government through the various public service schemes, or the departments of the state governments. Aadhaar has UIDAI has increased its the fold, and with its ambit it has brought many requesting entities, we call them in our parlance. That is any such entity which is allowed to use Aadhaar authentication. And since January 2025, even private entities are also allowed to use Aadhaar authentication. It means now authentication as a service is available. That is a very big and a big concept, so that we should understand that where Aadhaar can be used. Aadhaar can be used practically in every form of subsidy, service, or benefit delivery. So even for say urban, if you have a speaker from also from the urban areas, in municipal governance, you see even in getting the shop license, or for any other attendance marking system, or for any other services which you are offering in the urban areas, all these things can be basically now can be turned into a completely digital service, and anytime, anywhere service can be done. So having created the system, naturally it involves a lot of and UIDAI being a technical organization, digital organization, and so our the requirement of upgradation of technology is always there. So I just also would like to flag it before, so that you'll be able to fully grasp what the extent of advancement which UIDAI has brought in. Is that now we have earlier we used to do this mobile OTP based authentication, or the demo based authentication, means Aadhaar number matched with name, age, or gender. So we have moved beyond that and gone into biometric authentication. That is Aadhaar number coupled with your any of your biometrics, say fingerprint or an iris scan, used to basically easily authenticate somebody. Now, as we all understand, with the age and with the amount of labor, perhaps the fingerprint minutiae gets blurred. So fingerprint authentication may fail in certain age groups. So we have seen that in the rural areas where people are dependent on say services which are linked with Aadhaar. So any authentication which is not is not, if they are not able to authenticate, it means they're not able to even get the service. So the mechanism of face authentication was brought in the backdrop of the COVID, when touchless biometrics were to be developed. So in-house this face authentication was developed, and today I can proudly say that we are doing close to 15 crore authentications using face authentication per month, and we are even upgrading our capacity. So it means that there is enormous potential, and whenever we provide such kind of ease authentication, it means that the service delivery can be immediately be built on top of this, and such services which had hitherto took lot amount of paperwork or a manual procedure can be completely be converted into a purely a digital experience. So we have a lot of AI ML requirements, and we do that because the reason is as you understand, technology means that when we enter, so first of all we have to safeguard the biometrics. The biometrics of the all the 142 crore people who have given us the biometrics, that is their fingerprints and iris. So this is the biggest honeypot in the world. So this is UIDAI is mandated under the Aadhaar Act to safeguard the biometrics which is captured, because these biometrics are used for authenticating. Now these biometrics have to be safely be kept, and so there has to be no breach. And I can proudly say that we have been able to do this very well. So we have our own set of private cloud in which we store these biometrics, and we at our data centers in Bangalore and Manesar, and we are able to use it for providing authentication services. Secondly, so naturally it goes without saying that our onboarding mechanism involves a huge set of the compliance standards are there, with the basic premise that the privacy of the individual has to be fully respected, and in that context, and even the authentication mechanism is under strict regimentation of audit guidelines as prescribed by UIDAI from time to time. And all our requesting entities are fully compliant with our regulations, and our processes and SOPs are most advanced. Having done that part, now regarding the authentication, whenever we do that, you see, in the age of AI, there's always a fear of spoofing and the replay attacks, which people may try to subvert the system or game the system. In that context, so our AI ML solutions which have been developed indigenously and which are refined from time to time, so that they stay ahead of all the advancement happening place. In that context, any replay attack or spoofing attacks are immediately diagnosed by us. In a fingerprint authentication, it has to be a live person, so we have the in-house, we have the inbuilt liveness mechanism also. In any kind of authentication, whether it is iris scan or it is a fingerprint scan, we are able to discern very clearly at our front end as well as the back end whether any liveness is being breached or not. So we can immediately detect that and prevent that transaction from happening. Similarly, in the face authentication, we can detect spoofing attack and stop it. So these kinds of advancements are constantly there as far as authentication is concerned. And since these numbers are going to increase day by day, naturally the requirement of improvement of the system also lies with UID, and we have our fully developed IS mechanisms in which we are able to take care and take care of all such external and vulnerabilities or threats, and incorporate those things into our solution, and we make our solutions very very trustworthy, reliable, and secure. And this is the USP of UIDI, that we safely and we securely authenticate the identity of an individual without jeopardizing his biometrics. So this is one part. So naturally, it calls for even when we share the eKYC details of our because in authentication we give two type of response, either a yes no or an eKYC. In all these such responses which are shared by UIDI with the consent of the Aadhaar holder, say for example for when you are opening a bank account. So any such response which is shared by UIDI to its requesting entity, all these responses, particularly the Aadhaar number, rest has to be in an encrypted manner so that there is no breach. We give a private key to each and every of our requesting entity, and whenever such data is shared with them, they are then in the such tokens are given to our requesting entity. Our responses are sent in the digital tokens. So these can be decrypted by our by the private key issued to a requesting entity. So very fail-safe mechanism of sharing of authentication response by UIDI in real time to its requesting entities also ensure. And mind you, when I say that we do 90 million authentications, so any typical authentication response is hardly less than 3 to 5 milliseconds. So we don't take beyond that to authenticate. Such is the speed of operation at which UID operates, which has really led to the creation of DVPIs in this country. As you can see, the ABA ID, which has been created for the National Health Authority for providing medical benefits to the citizens in the country, or say the APAR ID, which has been created for the students in the educational system, or the PAN Aadhaar linkage, which has been there for CBDT. So all such systems, that population scale, are actually dependent, are have been spawned by Aadhaar, and because of Aadhaar authentication, such population scale systems have been created without any errors, and they have brought in immense and tremendous ease of interacting with such concerned department by the citizens. So the citizen experience of a public service delivery has increased by leaps and bounds. So we see the under the Pahel scheme for the PM Ujjwala scheme for cooking gas delivery, or say the PM Kisan Samman Yojana for the benefits to the cash benefits to the farmers. So the various schemes, currently around 3,500 schemes by the central government ministries or the state governments are using Aadhaar authentication for DBT transactions. And DBT transaction also, directly sending the money into the account of the Aadhaar or the beneficiary. That is onboarding of a beneficiary or identification of a beneficiary by a scheme, and even servicing by delivery of benefits into the account of the beneficiary. Both are done by Aadhaar. So such mechanisms have been created with the help of UIDAI, which are on a day-to-day basis providing benefits either in terms of ration, or in terms of cylinder, or in terms of any scholarship or any health benefits to the citizens. So naturally, we work at the utmost standards of data security and privacy guidelines, and since our position is untenable as far as the any such likewise we can identify in the world. So we operate at an unmatched scale of operations in the entire world, and that is why we can proudly say that with even with the 9 million 90 million authentications per day, due to our systemic interventions, we can see that UPI transactions have reached up to 60 million, 600 millions per day.
So one quick question to you, sir. What is the technology stacks that you mentioned, that AI, ML, and everything that you use? What are the other technology stacks that are being used to make sure that the system is can reach scale? And also, how has all of this been used to make sure that the other public service systems can be integrated through Aadhaar? So we already know it's going hand in glove with banking, but and other farmers and Ujjwala Yojana and other things that you mentioned. But what are other critical public systems that can be interjected with it? Aadhaar, by the name itself, means a platform set, or Aadhaar in Hindi means to lay a
Absolutely right, you are.
foundation.
You're
Yeah.
138 crores bank account in this country, both CASA, that is current and saving accounts, which are actually basically based on Aadhaar authentication. Similarly, if you look at the around close to 105 crores of mobile connections which have been provided in the country by various telecom service providers, is based on Aadhaar authentication. So in the initial days, both Aadhaar authentication as well as Aadhaar offline verification was done, in which, as I would like to say that when we started in the country, there was no such system, right? There was no the extent of the internet was also limited. The number of mobile connections were limited. Number of even the bank and even the available the telecommunication infrastructure was also grossly limited. In that scenario, we did the enrollment. First of all, the enrollment of all the entire eligible population into a digital ID platform was a very mammoth task. So how did we achieve that? Because there was no the internet, so all our enrollment systems were basically asynchronous. So basically, we had that an enrollment client machines were developed, which uh, which could operate in an offline manner, and whenever the connectivity is there, they could dump the data into our into the CIDR or our that is Aadhaar database. And having received that data, then we used to do the deduplication. So deduplication also is a completely technical activity which we do, so that we ensure that any biometric which we capture, and when anybody enrolls for an Aadhaar, his entire set of biometrics which are captured, they are matched with the existing database of all the biometrics stored in our Aadhaar. Today we have around 1,420 crore fingerprints, or say 280 crore iris scans. So any person with a set of 10 fingerprints or 2 iris scans or a single face image, all these are mapped against the existing database by our deduplication. Such strong engines basically are able to, and we have 3 such engines which do the work for us, and we are able to deduplicate in no time. So this is the current set of play. But when we started off, there was so we have seen how we evolved from a system of a very reduced infrastructure, and today we are operating at completely digital infrastructure around us. So what we see as today, one should never forget that it was not present 7 years even ago. So today, because of Aadhaar, today we can see so many mobile connections, which are upwards of 105 crores and 138 crores of bank accounts, all linked with Aadhaar. So this phenomenal linkage of Aadhaar, that is by the way of Jam Trinity, is leading to various schemes like say FASTag. I mentioned only some of them, but today FASTag, which is also a DP, digital public good, is basically based out of mobile connection, which was linked to Aadhaar, right? Similarly, UPI, which also is basically linked with a mobile number and a bank account, is linked with Aadhaar in a way. And various schemes of the central ministry, and later on the state governments also have joined the bandwagon. So Aadhaar, if we start off that way, so Aadhaar was created was to provide targeted service of delivery of services and benefits to the poor people, right? That was the basic objective with the Aadhaar was started. Now today it has completely turned around. So that is being served by way of DBT and all. That is brilliantly being served. And I will again like to mention that also, because we have been able to undertake a lot of savings also. With Aadhaar, whenever we have any onboarding of a beneficiary, we are able to identify, ghost beneficiaries or fake beneficiaries. Up till now, in various government schemes, more than 10 crores of fake beneficiaries have been identified and removed. And it has led to savings of more than 350,000 crores of public money. So this is the enormous saving which DBT alone has brought to us in the last 10 years, right? But that has now, this has led to, this is only one part which Aadhaar actually is serving. The other part is, as I said, financial inclusion. Aadhaar is spawning various DPGs, digital public goods. This is the bigger and wider, much wider ramification of Aadhaar which we are now seeing, because what we started off as now what we are seeing today, there is a phenomenal difference, and at the core of it is Aadhaar only. So I mean, practically whole of central government schemes and largely state government schemes are using Aadhaar authentication for identification of beneficiary as well as for providing benefits to them. So as I mentioned earlier, 3,600 schemes of various central ministries and the state governments are using Aadhaar. So that way, our database is rapidly, our Aadhaar is practically seeded into each and every such database. This is I just wanted to flag about the current state of play, and at what pace are we are contemplating to grow. And lastly, when I said from January this year, when we have allowed the gates of Aadhaar to be used, opened the gates of Aadhaar so that people, even private entities, can use Aadhaar for authentication. So it will open a new it will spawn a new gamut of services which we will see in the public domain. Particularly, you see the background verification companies. So you see all this gig economy examples like Zepto, Swiggy, Zomato. Now onboarding of their customers or their the personnel can happen with Aadhaar. We have seen how DigiYatra is actually currently planning is providing a platform for easy and smooth entry into the airports. Even the provision of getting a room, hotel room, with the help of Aadhaar authentication. So from DigiYatra you can move up to DigiKey. That is, even you can one can even before somebody travels from a city A to city B, DigiYatra sort of experience can be inbuilt into the right up to the he can get this hotel key digitally sent to on his mobile. So such kind of things are now possible with the help of Aadhaar. As I said earlier, we are moving towards the phase of authentication as a service. So anybody can use Aadhaar for anybody's authentication for their purpose, for this for that purposes. So this will This I'm sure will from 90 million we can definitely go up to 200 million authentications per day. And again, this will lead to creation of more what we cannot currently envisage, but many such public goods can further be created. So the examination system, recruitment systems undertake, I mean, at the central level or the state level, they can use Aadhaar. So face authentication provides for a easy generation of admit card, easy verification of the candidate at the time of the examination, and this link with recruitment also will spawn, will make make the entire process more transparent, more reliable, and will increase the credibility of as well as the experience of the user who undertakes this journey through such processes. So
Thank you so much,
I'm hopeful that we will see a lot of benefits.
create information. They come to us, but we read them through something, and then hearing it from somebody who's doing it on a daily basis, it's really very remarkable. So most of these numbers we don't really know about. We search them and then we find out, and then we have a conversation like this. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to move on to Sameer sir.
Yes. So first of all, thank you. Congratulations for all those who have organized this thing. I think it's fairly important. So I think every 10 years we have a new buzzword, which is enough to strike hysteria on the people who are interested and
Yes, yes.
extremely loathing criticism from the new Luddites that we see for whatever purpose. Of course, I'm here in my personal capacity, so views are my views, nothing to do with the organization I work. So I think what we need to really focus, in my opinion, is to identify those functionalities of the broader genre of AI which has practical application and utility in Indian public scenario. So if you look at those which functionalities are at all available in the first place, which have some application in public service, because the I think the infotainment industry is focusing on the hysteria and the excitement part and not on the actuals which are applicable. And I think
Yes.
that's the reason which I felt that organizations and the efforts like what you are doing are important to move out of this hysteria and focus on the actual what is to be done and how it is to be done. So the functionalities which normally can be rather are being used currently seems to be the chatbot and question answers and summarization functionality which is available in the GenAI, which can be used substantially well. A and B, of course, as you know, gathering information consumes 80% at least in my guesstimate of time of any government organization totally put together, and that I think this functionality of the Gen AI of summarization can greatly help reduce the time which is taken to take decisions, and therefore, in all, improve the efficiency and functionality of the any government organizations. I think that ability to, of course, the big data analytics, which is generally available everywhere, can be used as another functionality which can be used across all the states, all the governments, and the levels of government also, especially when we are trying to correlate data which is lying elsewhere. So the data, the natural language processing NLP can also help the chatbots and the people with language and the Divyang as we call them who may not able to see or whatever those things. So of course the sign language, I don't know if it has any uh, app which is there which can decipher the sign languages on camera and use that to the chatbot. I'm not aware of that, but I think that is something which should be done if no one else has done it. I think it's fairly easy to do that, so something of that
Absolutely.
sort will be required. So the general understanding what, because I'm not a technology person, I'm just a clerk who happened to get some marks some 25-30 years back, and that's why I'm sitting here. Give me any credibility nor any right to speak on anything. But okay, I'm just sharing thoughts with informally with like-minded people, which is a bit difficult these days, despite all the social media. So I think what approach could be done, I think as an outcome of this deliberation, as an informal, whatever paper, report, or even really focus on, that what are identify the functionalities of the general AI and try to match it with the various jobs which government or public organizations do. So yes, now ticketing, maybe of course, when government is doing, of course, all of us remember that there is a very good app in COVID times, which helped us. I was working as municipal commissioner during COVID, the initial phase of COVID, the first wave of COVID. So we did interacted, use that app a lot, and it is to predictively tell us which slum pocket in my
Yes.
city. Good beginning them, and even it was so precise that I had visited a hospital that time during the COVID time, and the honorable Lok Pratidhi, as we call it, was also standing next to me, who was infected there. And of course, we were fully with mask, but the app was so accurate, it called me back that, sir, आप कहाँ हैं कि आप I mean, you seem to be under risk area because we have sensed you having very close to someone who's already reported infected. I was told him I'm a commissioner, so it's my job to move around in the hospital. I'm in hospital that time. So I was really amazed that time. I think I'm talking of probably May or June 2020, when the first wave, was quite climbing up
Yes.
that time, and that was my first interaction that okay, yes, AI can be effective. It can hyper personalize and hyper localize. So I think this hyper personalization, hyper localization functionality which AI can give through big data analytics and all other tech terms that might be there, I think has a greater use, and especially when we have got, as you know, we have got around 1,000 welfare schemes in all levels of government put together. Probably I may be giving a bit less number, but all the welfare schemes are definitely, as we call them, the centrally sponsored schemes, and the states sector schemes, and the state central sector schemes, and maybe also the district level and the municipal level schemes, welfare schemes which are there. So I think the lot of portalization is luckily happening. And another functionality of big data analytics, I think, can be doing identifying beneficiaries, as we call them now, or shall we, whichever word we might use it. But I think this functionality have a tremendous scope that you can have a very precision, hyper localized and hyper personalized delivery of welfare schemes. And also the other, of course, the part of infrastructure is always the usual municipal functioning of the smart city cameras and the control rooms, and all those things are definitely there. But I don't know. I mean, we're only five of us, so I think we can talk a bit informally. So if you remember the movie Naya Daur, the Naya Daur,
Yes,
आप
sir.
देख लीजिए एक बार. ये दिलीप कुमार की मूवी है 1957 की, and
Yes,
it
sir.
talks of how the horse carriages engage with someone who comes with a motor
Van.
van,
Yes.
and they are ferrying the people to the adjoining pilgrimage site, and that is the livelihood, and how that is a wonderful movie that becomes very happy. I always try to share that whenever I interact on technology and society intersect, because I am basically a student of sociology, so my basic understanding in my college is essentially of that. It happened by such accident that I had to work as a CEO Smart City, so I had to probably learn some things about the technologies there. But having said this, I believe the third point I feel is also to counter, if that is right word or I don't know, of this the negativity which is coming out on AI. And it's something I find as this only five of us, it's very quite stupid sometimes. We the history, the history of Luddites, from 16 or 1790s, whenever that first steam powered genning machine came, whatever maybe I mean, we're not talking of religion, anything else, but the history is that these people used to go and break out those genning machines, calling it probably the element of Saturn or whatever. Of course, that's a part of history there, the European history or maybe the American history. But this, I think we have failed, all those technology enthusiasts, maybe like you and me, those who are interested in technology, they have a failed of, the public narrative that came against these digital dictatorships and surveillance capitalism. It is not that it doesn't exist, it may exist, as there might be sufficient examples, but I think you have to prepare a society for any technology. It is either
Absolutely.
it accepts without anyone telling them, or then, so the entire game of AI, I believe, has to be demystified. A lot of hysteria and, all that nonsense is going around, which is confusing people, and maybe after some time you might get a backlash, if it is as we have seen, most of the best technologies have lost on social connect and the media narratives which are there anyway. So by and large, I feel that current focus, of course, there will be many use cases, and at this national level and even global level we are seeing many of these functionalities put to use. vision of Vishwaguru or the Vikasit Bharat or those things or the demographic dividend that we are talking. I believe this is beyond the speeches. It is a reality that we have to prepare the next generation. That if you do something in India, you have got at least 20,000 cities you can replicate that. That vision has to be there. That
Absolutely.
drive has to be there to move out of India and elsewhere. And I mean, you must have, you are tech people, so you might have moved a lot around in the world, rather like me. But I can, whatever little exposure I had, always feel that we have the ability of definitely, and we are much closer to the other countries. So it is just not we being trying to copy or ape what the other cities are or the other countries are doing or the other techs are doing. But there is a very genuine, very realistic opportunity, I think, which is also our responsibility to deliver on all those grounds. And of course, I mean, probably, I'm sorry, there are a lot of toggling around with the multiple, VCs we are having. Maybe we could have a virtual, visual chatbot who is doing the talking also. That is
So
to move
it's
around, but
interesting.
it was
You're taking
great
us
to
through
connect.
all the different scenarios.
Yeah, so it's a great thing. So what I feel is that we are into the cusp of history. I always tell that it is just not literature or politics or electioneering or all those infotainment. We really are at the cusp of history, and I think we
Yes.
have this 5, 10 years with us. If we can adopt the technology as was done in 1990s, maybe with TCS and Infosys, what those companies did in those 1985 to 2000 era. I'm not seeing any replication of that in 20 to 25, at least in the AI and that sector. I think that's quite worrying for us because what this entire ecosystem function for getting, the BPO industry or ITSC, as you, what ES, what do you call it? I think we need to replicate that, and I always believe in butterfly effect that every single small action of even most insignificant person has a power to, create a viral effect and avalanche of things happening. So we have to work on that. And yes, I'm based in Mumbai. So if anyone is Mumbai, feel free to connect. We can definitely meet and talk. And this idea of AI and I was very interested with the name Quantum also. So I don't know who had interacted with me on the LinkedIn, but I thought I would definitely respond to that. And yes, there are a lot of things to be done, and the specifics of how are more important now because वो जनरल जो अभी है वो चर्चा 5 साल से सुन रहे लोग बोर हो गए अभी वो चैट जीपीटी इज कमिंग जेन एआई रहेगा वो एजेंटिक एआई वो सब अभी तो इंफोटेनमेंट इंडस्ट्री का पार्ट है नथिंग टू डू विद द एक्चुअल्स ऑफ एग्जीक्यूशन
Absolutely.
so probably we have to think of the intersect of society technology government is just a small part of that and develop a system which will adopt this technology at the fast the way we adopted probably WhatsApp and then have a productivity enhancement in visual way because that कैलकुलेटर में और इसमें क्या फर्क है मुझे समझता नहीं भाई कैलकुलेटर क्या करता तो आपने को अरिथमेटिक करके दिया ये क्या करता है सेंटेंस बना के देता है which
So,
happens to be in some context that we feel so उसमें से ज्यादा कोई ऐसे इंप्रेस होने की जरूरत नहीं फिर भी लग रहा है yes it has opportunities but nothing to be scared of or afraid of or create another scientific fiction genre in journalism so abhi jo hame लग रहा है वो anyway so these are my personal thoughts so thanks a lot and yes we will definitely feel if anyways Mumbai feel free to connect and we'll try to work out some more on this as to how we can create a system which is favorable for adoption of AI and real delivery of benefits to the people to say so. Thank you very much, and
thank you
thanks a
so
lot
much,
for
sir.
this
Samir sir,
opportunity.
on
Yeah,
that note,
Yeah.
Samir sir, I had some feedback for you, right? So I completely
yeah,
agree with you. You spoke about a new buzzword every 10 years, right? Which
yeah,
is
yeah.
exactly, I have taken on personally a challenge to author a book called Reinventing IT Operations, right? Every 10 years, we have this new stuff coming on technology that we need to focus on. And AI is definitely one of the new keywords that we have to worry about how to take advantage of that and convert into how it can help our operations from that perspective. The other thing that Samir sir told was, obviously in the 80s and 90s, Infosys and TCS, they drove our company in a specific direction in technology, but it was geared more towards services with the Indian government focusing with more make in India now, I think over the next 5 years we'll start seeing a lot of entrepreneurs starting technology, taking advantage of AI and coming up with solutions like Manish sir said, focus on the physically disabled people and how AI can help them with the language issues or something like that, or how Samir sir was talking about how AI can be used for better governance out there. Another area where we have focused on building a tool called Future Gov that can help with local municipalities and cities in focusing on a more streamlined and transparent governance from a customer journey perspective. And AI can be a big part of that journey where it can look at all workload that's been assigned and validate and then do a good job in customer satisfaction over there. So that's something that we definitely be happy to talk about. But I think Manish sir and Samir sir have given some amazing points over here today in terms of how the Indian government is taking advantage of technology and AI and focusing on data and security from that perspective also, and being able to build a solution that scales 1.5 billion people is no small feat over here, right? This is amazing. Kudos to the Indian government, kudos to the team that Manish sir and Samir sir run, and for doing an amazing job over there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. This was a great session with great insights. A lot of things to be learned, a lot of things to be heard, and a lot of things to be taken upon and taken action for. Thank you so much, Mr. Manish Bhardwaj and Mr. Unhale for joining us for the session, along with Mr. Nilesh Mehta. We will circulate a small summary of all the resources links from the discussion and share this video with all of you. Thank you so much for joining us. It's me, Mudit, Vyas, signing off from Quantum Dialogues. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure speaking with all of you. Thank you.